Are you ready? Check your reality.
The comments and opinions of this program may be considered offensive. Viewer discretion is advised. Alright, let's move on to step 2. Stop all violent rhetoric. Violence will not save America. The harsh reality is that President Barack Obama had 8 years to replace patriotic generals with left-leaning political appointees. He did a great job, unfortunately. If violence breaks out, God forbid, the military will stand with the government, not the insurgents. Does anyone think Russia and China and Cuba and North Korea and Iran would stand idly by while their democratic friends are being defeated by a patriotic uprising? They would undoubtedly use the opportunity to finish off their main enemy once and for all. Beware of anyone inciting violence online, at a public gathering, or in a private meeting. Distance yourself fast. They will be, at best, hopelessly naive, at worst, government provocateurs. The left is praying for right-wing violence. It will give them an excuse for a massive crackdown on patriotic Americans. This country will be saved peacefully or not at all. If significant violence breaks out, it's over. Having said that, the Second Amendment must be preserved at all costs. An armed populace is at least some check on tyranny. Even if useless in the face of biological warfare or nuclear attack, Americans should keep their guns and work every day to ensure they never have to use them against their own people. Okay, so let's start with Butch for an analysis.
Second Amendment. As a constitutionalist, I believe in all the amendments that have been given to us, especially the first 10 amendments. The first one is your freedom of speech and freedom of religion, freedom of the press, and so forth. Second Amendment, make sure that your First Amendment rights will never be taken away. As we see today in this world, we have our First Amendment right being taken away, the freedom of speech, by so-called companies that do their fact-checking. I'm not going to mention any names of Factbook or anything, but I think they're assaulting us already. They're testing the waters. They're seeing how far they can get. And without that Second Amendment right, and it doesn't say this person or that person, it says the people. It gives the right to the people to keep and bear arms. That doesn't mean the weapons of the day. It doesn't mean anything else that the left wants to try and trick you with. What it means is that you have the right to carry any kind of weapon at any time. And the reason for that is because of a tyrannical government. What are we seeing today? We're seeing that tyrannical government. So I agree wholeheartedly with him. I also agree that we shouldn't be talking in large groups about violent activities that may or may not happen, just because the FBI does plant people undercover to go into these groups and to monitor them to see if they're going to do any overt actions against the United States. Well, that's what their purpose was. However, those that have joined the Antifa movement have sided with them. They were well aware, the FBI was well aware of Antifa's plans of riots and what they had planned. They know what weapons they have and which ones they use. So, just be careful of who you talk to. Make sure it's somebody you've known for a long, long time.
Well, I'm definitely in agreement with Butch on this. The Second Amendment is extremely important for us to be able to keep the liberties that we have in this country. And that is why the Democrats especially, are so focused on twisting people's view of what the Second Amendment means and what it does allow or doesn't allow. It doesn't say that you can't have any specific type of gun. It specifically says the right to keep and bear arms, and that this right shall not be infringed, period. Which brings me to something that was brought up in a speech type thing that Stan Pulliam had here in town, and he was asked what he thought about these Second Amendment sanctuaries that are popping up all over the place. Now, our county has been a Second Amendment sanctuary for a long time, but here within the last few months, Yamhill County became another Second Amendment sanctuary. And he was asked about this, and he said he honestly is against quote-unquote sanctuaries in general. Because, yes, we need to protect our Second Amendment rights, which is why counties have become sanctuaries for this. But if our rights to bear arms were not being infringed, there would be no need for these. And if we did not need them, and we could get rid of them, that would give us the chance to get rid of some of these other sanctuaries that are giving sanctuary to illegal immigrants who are taking away from the workforce and whatnot of legal immigrants and naturalized Americans, natural Americans, and everything else, to where, you know, we could get rid of those sanctuaries and have more room for the real Americans and, you know, not only natural born but naturalized Americans to have more work and more stance on things instead of this other stuff clouding up what we, the people, need and want. Alright, now I'd like to hear what Forrest thinks about this subject.
Well, something that kind of stuck out to me was the last portion of the second step, and it said, having said that, the Second Amendment must be preserved at all cost. An armed populace is at least some check on tyranny, even if useless in the face of biological warfare or nuclear attack. And, you know, that's actually a really good point, and I'm really glad he brought that up, because something to think about when it comes to just projectiles in general and what a projectile means to a human. See, we didn't evolve to have claws like bears. We didn't evolve to have shells like crabs. We evolved to have projectiles. We're one of the few species on this planet that have locking wrists so we can throw something like a baseball. And to take away the projectile from a human is to essentially declaw them. And, you know, we're not a house cat. As much as they want us to be a house cat, we're not. You cannot declaw us, put us into the real world, and expect us to survive. Now, the type of control that they want to implement, or at least it's seeming that they're wanting to implement, they would need us in a declawed house cat state for them to be able to successfully do it. If we give up our claws, or our weapons, in this case, for humans, we're not going to have much to defend ourselves. You know, something that I feel like people forget about is, they preach about equity and equality. Nothing really levels the playing field better than everybody having their own gun. Honestly. An armed minority is an empowered minority. An armed woman is an empowered woman. An armed whatever is an empowered whatever. You know, give an AK to an elephant, teach it how to use it. Holy crap, you got an issue on your hands.
No more poachers.
Yeah, no more poachers.
Damn it, Billy. Give me back my liquor.